Hey, everyone, and welcome into the Reload podcast along with Nathan Gilsleider and Marshall Scott. I'm Justin Southwell. We had to, talk a little bit about what's going on with Cowboy baseball. And I'm going to be a little bit of an audience member myself because, as you know, baseball players are very superstitious. I'm also, as it relates to baseball, kind of superstitious. So what's been happening is I haven't been paying attention and they're doing great. So if I don't watch, they perform very well. And I'll have to go back, watch highlights, whatever the case is. But you're texting about Colin Ritchie, have yourself a night. My brother-in-law is over here talking about the Cowboys are blowing the doors off these guys. I'm not seeing any of it. So I'm going to be learning some stuff tonight. And I wanted to see what you guys' takes were. What are some takeaways, Marshall, from what you saw against TCU?
Yeah, so I went Friday night, also known as the Colin Ritchie night. I guess there's been a lot of nights that are the Colin Ritchie night at this point, but he hit 3 home runs. Was rather ridiculous, the fact that he steps to the plate in the bottom of the ninth, and in that game that's tied, and he's already hit 2 home runs, and the TCU coach is like, yeah, we're going to throw to him again, was crazy to me. I think it was crazy also to Colin Ritchie. We talked to him afterwards, and he was like, yeah, I wasn't sure that they were going to give me anything to hit. So he crushes that over the fence, sort of sets the tone for the series. They come back the next day. They had that crazy shift for Colin Ritchie. He lawn darted one like in between second baseman playing in shallow right and the right fielder, somehow got it right in there, and then they stopped pitching to him at that point finally. So just a monstrous weekend for those guys to sort of continue. This is sort of where Josh Holiday teams start to figure stuff out. They're always really good around conference tournament time, and it's sort of starting to get to that time of the year. And now they've swept two Big 12 series in a row. Aiden Miola I thought was really good this past weekend as well. The pitching staff, obviously the Sunday start got way wonky. The fact that they were able to patch something together there and find a way to come back in that ball game. Obviously the offense had a big piece of that, but I think there was like a four pitchers that pitched 6 innings that basically didn't give up a run. So that was big time from the bullpen. But yeah, things just sort of seem to start heading in the right direction. No midweek game this week, which I think is probably good for everybody involved. We know how we talk about midweek baseball on this pod. I think it's, in the midst of this streak, no need to throw any wrenches in the plan. But things are getting a lot better, and it now sort of seems like they're a shoe-in to make the NCAA tournament. Obviously, need to close out strong, but things are looking up on baseball. All things considered, it's been a really good stretch.
Yeah, I'm gonna read something off here because I want you guys to tell me if this is any good. 8 for 9, 4 home runs, 6 walks, on base 14 times.
I think that'll play. Not a big baseball guy, but I think that'll play.
Yeah, that's what Colin Ritchie did this weekend. Like, that's hard to do on the show. I don't care if you got a PlayStation 6 in your hand, like whatever, right? It was incredible to watch, and I think we've talked about it quite a bit. Coach Holiday talks about it every time he gets a chance on the microphone, and he's starting to pick up some steam here. But this is an All-American, fellas. Like, he is one of the best players in college baseball. He's got 26 home runs on the year, who now he holds the lead in the Josh Holiday era. And basically, since we got real bats, he has now the record at Oklahoma State. Like, I'm not saying he's a better home run hitter than Pete Incaviglia or a better hitter than Robin Ventura or anything like that. But you think about the home run hitters that have been in this new ballpark under Coach Holiday, and he leads them all. It's sensational. And not only that, he's playing an exceptional center field. Like, he is a great, great athlete. And then on top of that, you brought up Aiden Miola. Combined this weekend, they went 15 for 22 with 6 home runs, 14 RBIs, and 38 total bases. That's 2 dudes.
It's enough for a whole baseball team right there.
We've been so critical, and rightfully so, of some of the fallacies of what the lineup, issues and pitching. Guys, they are knocking the cover off the baseball right now, and it's top to bottom. I mean, you talk about Brock Thompson, the guy just keeps coming up and getting on base. You talk about the bottom of the order, you got, our catcher, who's one of the most clutch hitters on the team right now.
Ortiz came back this weekend.
AO came back, right, and got some DH at bats. We've got a bunch of freshmen that are, filling in. You got Norman, who's anytime he gets an opportunity, he's getting a couple knocks and he hits the ball hard no matter where it's going. This is, to your point, like this is what Josh Holiday baseball teams have typically done, and they're doing it again. But they're doing it in a manner like I think Sunday's win was probably the best win on the season. To your point, Marshall, you get, Brendan Phillips had a great couple game run, really when the team needed him most. The guy struggled. He got hit very hard, very early, very often. And then everybody else stepped in, held it down. The offense, like they weren't giving away at bats. They just kept, piling away. And then they did it. And then you came in and you give up a run, but then you hold the door, right? And then you get the sweep. And I think Coach Holiday even said something about that. Like it was probably the best win of the season. And don't look now, but you're talking about a legitimate 2 seed now when 3 weeks ago we weren't sure if they were getting in the tournament. Pitching's getting healthy. You saw Barrett pitch this on Friday night. He pitched very well in a very key spot. Noah's back. He's pitching with confidence again. I think they're even hopeful maybe they even might get one of the other arms that had been out most of the year. Don't know if that's going to happen yet or not. You brought up AO, like whether that's at second base, because Garrett Scholl's been pretty inconsistent. When he does hit it, he hits a home run, but he doesn't hit it very often. You know what I mean? So you're seeing it kind of develop. And kudos to the staff. Kudos to the dudes. Like they are going out there and they're grinding. They're going to get finals done this week. Then they're going to Arizona State for a ranked matchup for them, which is a huge matchup. If they're able to win this series this weekend, you're legitimately talking about like a middle tier 2 seed. Like, so you have a real chance to come out of a regional. And I don't know, it's been fun to watch because there's no doubt, especially early to middle part, like they were playing some pretty bad baseball and they were losing baseball games they shouldn't be losing. We talked about non-competitive at-bats. Hey, they strike out too much for my liking, but man, they have been hitting it all over the park. And it was a great series win against a good TCU baseball team.
Hudson Barrett is an electric factory, by the way. Whenever he gets like hyped up in between innings, it looks like he's about to like black out and like literally pass out. That's how like juiced he is on the sideline. It borderlines like I imagine some baseball people, the hoity-toity types are like that might be a little too much, but he brings the juice, that's for sure.
And one thing I want to bring up, you talked about, Colin. Well, first of all, they intentionally walked him like the second at bat of the next game. They're like, we're not even messing with this. You know what I mean? And so the most important guy in this lineup moving forward is Aiden Miola. Because if you're going to continue to pitch around him, whether intentionally or not, you're not going to give him anything to you. I'm not going to give him anything to hit. If he wants to swing at it, fine. But, we're going to get him on. Then it's up to Aiden Miola to make him pay, right? It's the same. It's the same thing when you watch, Aaron Judge hit 63 home. The reason why Aaron Judge got to hit 63 is because Juan Soto was behind him, right? The reason why Barry Bonds hit 800 besides the vegetables that he was taking every morning, you had Jeff Kent behind him. So the most important guy is that guy behind him. And then you've got to have the guy in front of him recognize you're going to get a lot more strikes to hit because they don't want Colin Ritchie to hit with somebody on. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not going to take a chance to. So these guys have to. I'm sure they are. I'm sure coaches are talking to about this, but you're going to have to start realizing it, especially when you get into postseason play, Big 12 tournament. These supers, these regionals. Guys are not going to. They're going to do everything they can to not allow Colin Ritchie to beat them. And so Aiden Miola, please stay healthy because when you do, you're a fantastic college baseball player. He plays a phenomenal third base, by the way. And some of the picks that guy made. I mean, he makes it look so easy. He is fantastic baseball player. He is one of those guys. He'll be one of the greatest what ifs for me in the Josh Holiday era because if he would have stayed healthy for the last 3 years, I don't know if he plays this year, right? Like the guy's got every tool in the book. He's got pedigree. He's got it all. So I'm very thankful that he's playing. But yeah, in Avery, well, hopefully he can get back and maybe play second base. Because Brock Thompson, I don't want to move him. He's playing a great shortstop. So I don't know. I'm pretty excited, man. I think this is a very talented baseball team that's coming to form at the right time.
And Aaron Judge might hit 63 this year because of another Yankees and number 22, Ben Rice, coming up out of nowhere. So It's always about the reload, baby. All right. Going back to Big 12 baseball, I was just checking out the standings. Oklahoma State's currently sitting at 5th. You mentioned Arizona State. They're at 3rd. Nathan, I didn't know if you had kind of maybe a preview of sorts. Like, do you know much about Arizona State? Because I'm looking at the records, 16-8 in Big 12 versus 14-10 for Oklahoma State. Overall record, they're 33-15. We're 31-17. So it doesn't look like they're that much better, but like you mentioned, they're ranked. They'll be at home. What are you expecting to see out of this matchup?
Yeah, they're a really talented team. They have a prolific home run hitter in Hairston as well. So he'll be one to watch. He's going to be an early draft pick, and so I actually believe he's. No, I don't want to say it because I don't want to be incorrect, but he's got Major League Baseball pedigree in the family as well. He's a very, really good player, and so they've got talented all over the place. They've got a good pitching staff. They're just a really solid baseball team. They've kind of been on that 20 to 25 range ish, depending on the poll that you're looking at. They've kind of hovered around that area, unranked to ranks. They've kind of been there. So it's definitely not one of those things that is undoable by any means, especially the way that we're swinging it. And it's already warm out there. You're going to play a couple day games. Like, the ball's going to fly. So it's a fun park to watch them play too. I believe the Friday and Saturday games are on ESPN2 this weekend, so that's kind of cool. So hopefully the Pokes can show out on a national TV, and it'll be a fun. But it should be a very evenly matched weekend.
And I should say, of course, we know this, but the only reason that Oklahoma State is in that position is because it was around the time we started talking about it, when we got to turn it around. They swept Cincinnati at home. We just got done sweeping TCU, and they're the next two teams right behind Oklahoma State in the standings right now. So just goes to show you how much things can turn on a dime. Crazy league. All right, let's jump over to softball, because we just took 2 of 3 off Kansas, and I believe we secured a number 2 seed in the Big 12 tournament. Marshall, what's going on with how the Cowgirls are looking these days?
Yeah, Big 12 tournament, if you're watching this on Thursday, starts today. Oklahoma State's playing Utah at 5 p.m. Utah's the 7th seed. They only draw 8 teams make this tournament. So it's a 2 versus a 7. It was a fun weekend. Obviously, Ruby Malin is still very good at softball. She pitched that first game, and then the Sunday game was the game I went to. Absolutely just like shut stuff down. I think Kansas had 1 base runner on. Ruby gave up 1 hit. I think they might have changed it afterwards. They gave Claire Tim an error because of this crazy shift, though. Claire Tim is the right fielder. She was basically playing shortstop. Sort of had trouble grabbing something. But then she gave up a single, would have been a double, but she got thrown out at second base. So only actually had 1 base runner all Sunday. Pitched the Friday game as well. They did get roughed up pretty good on Saturday. They still need that secondary pitching to sort of stand out. But overall, I think another pretty successful weekend. Rosie Davis is really hitting well right now. I don't know if you guys have followed around Madison Hoffman, and sort of she's this redshirt freshman. So since she started getting she tore her ACL last year. She came in as like a pitcher hitter combo, just like really good softball player. Tore her ACL last year, didn't get to play at all. Has started getting some pinch hit opportunities of late. Since the Texas game on April 22nd, she is 5 for 8 at the plate with 9 RBI and 4 home runs. So her only non-home run hit is a triple as well. So she is blistering softballs. Her home run on Sunday was basically a line drive at just like that was just high enough to get over the fence. It just like absolutely rocketed it out. So that's been really good. And yeah, I think Kenny said, he told us on Tuesday he thinks that that Saturday loss probably kept them from getting close to an 8 seed. They still would have had some things need to go their way this weekend, but he thinks they're probably out of this super hosting area, but it does look like they'll host. Some softball awards got announced today. Ruby Malin got co-pitcher of the year, which I don't know if you guys saw the Kenny tweet. Kenny tweeted out earlier. He quote tweeted the Big 12s. So the co-pitcher of the year, the Texas Tech girl and Ruby Malin both won it. Both obviously outstanding at their craft, outstanding pitchers. Kenny quote tweeted that, the Big 12 tweeting that out, and said, "Can we make the coaches vote public? May find out there's a different result." So Kenny loves that sort of smoke somewhat regularly. So that's interesting. Ruby obviously also made the first team. Rosie Davis made the first team. Aubrey Jones made the freshman team. JL Austin made the freshman team. And then Audrey Schneidmiller made the defensive team. So I think that's a cool part about Kenny's program is he regularly plays freshmen to have, 2 girls on the all freshman team, I think is a big deal for a team that's as good as Oklahoma State is. So things are again, it looks like headed in the right direction there. Would have loved that Saturday game, but they're just gonna have to ride Ruby as far as that they'll take her. So that's been a little. That's sort of it. That's what he told us this week. This is what Oklahoma State. This is what the team is at this point. It's sort of super reliant on Ruby Malin. You just need those other girls to get going and be able to shoulder some of that load.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about this a little bit before we recorded. Like, is there a more important softball player to a team that like is the outcome?
Yeah, Ruby Malin? It's like the definition of most valuable player. Like
exactly.
definitely most valuable.
I really don't know if there is anybody. Even you think about like the really good teams. Like they're phenomenal players, but I don't know if they dictate like the correlation between wins and losses when Ruby pitches is ridiculous. So I'm going to be interested to see a little bit. We talked kind of off camera some that Coach Gajewski doesn't have the greatest track record in the Big 12 tournament. Probably some of that due to he really doesn't care a whole lot. He'd rather get everything in position for his regional and supers and whatnot. And with as much as Ruby has pitched and played, maybe we might see some of that. You brought up, her pitching early in the tournament. Do we see her pitch again? Do you just kind of ride? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just be interested to see kind of how they go about that. But hey, they're playing their best ball, much like the baseball team is at the right time, right? They've gradually gotten better throughout this season. Just really, really have to find a second pitcher that can give them some kind of consistency. You just can't, especially if you lose in the regional or in the College World Series, like you can't do it with one pitcher. If as good as she is, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you mentioned sort of some of the recent struggles in Oklahoma City, that Big 12 tournament, since they won the tournament in 2022, and then they've gone 0-1 every year since. So it's not been good since then. And we talked with Kenny about giving Ruby some like load management, I think was the phrase that got brought up. And Kenny sort of joked, and he was like, I think you guys are more worried about it than we are. And then you mentioned like this is something that people have done all the time, like that back in the day. It was just sort of a necessity. So Ruby has thrown 213 and 2/3 innings this year, which is not even in the top 10 seasons in OSU's history. Jessica Hoppock, sorry Jessica, I'm so sorry, but back in 2004, she threw 307 innings. So yeah, they used to really do it in softball. So and Ruby takes like the off the field portion of the game really seriously. Everybody's always talking about her sleep schedule and how dedicated she is to diet and stuff like that. So she's gonna give herself the best chance. But I just sort of thought that was funny.
Randy Johnson, a big unit.
That's amazing. 300 innings. Like
it's going to be in Oklahoma City, right? This is going to Devon Park, I think is the name now.
I don't know what this
Hall
is called anymore,
whatever, but yeah. I'm sure that'll be sold out. We've got, I'm sure, ESPN Plus to be able to watch it. Marshall, you're going to be in attendance.
Yes, I am driving over tomorrow, and I'll keep driving over as long as they're in it.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, go Cowgirls. How about men's golf? Because we're winning Big 12s. Stout was getting shout outs for, was he the first person ever to win 3 Big 12 titles?
Yeah, I mean, that's just it, right? So but trying to go back to back, it's going to be at the national championship will be at the same course that they played at last year in San Diego. So first they have to go through the regional here. But you brought up, like, I don't want to gloss over, if you're doing anything at Oklahoma State golf,
yeah,
that's like a first or best, like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
And, like, he's done it. It's not been the same course, right? Like, he does it all these premier courses. The kid's phenomenal. He's widely thought of as the second best amateur. Like he's gonna go the PGA Tour. He's gonna be one of those I shouldn't say that. He has a very good chance to be one of those kids that, like, right when he hits, you're like, oh my, like, he's doing it right away. You're looking at a team that, I don't know, I think it's pretty, they've not been ranked as high as last year, even though they didn't lose anybody, which is fine. But it's like, hey, same golf course, same group of dudes. I feel like they're going to be pretty confident. So I'm going to be interested to see. So got to get out of the regional, which I don't think that'll be any issue at all. And then on to match play and see what happens. But they're in good form. Preston obviously is in great form. But yeah, man, anytime you're able to do anything like that in Oklahoma State golf and you stand above Victor Hovland and Ricky Fowler and Scott Verplank, and I mean, you name it, like all these guys that have, the most storied golf program in history, and he stands alone. So kudos to you, man.
Yeah. What do you think their mindset is going into that? Do you think it's like, we have a chance to prove to the world that last year wasn't a fluke, or are they just going into it with, again, like you said, maybe that confidence, like we've been here, done that? What are you thinking? Have you heard anything or seen anything about some of these golfers and the mindsets?
No, I mean, I just think it's one of those things. The game of golf itself is, it's ever changing, right? You day to day, match to match. You're going into that, and they were so young last year, and those guys stepped up and hit so many big shots down the stretch. Like, that gives you the ultimate confidence that, like, no matter how your match is going, because match play is unpredictable, right? You could score 10, who cares? Because it only counts for 1 point. The next match you move on. Like, it doesn't matter. And so that's really changed college golf in a lot of ways. I just think that gives them the utmost confidence of, like, hey, yeah, you may be ranked higher than us, whatever else. Like, we've done it. You haven't. I've got confidence. And so I think they have a leg up from that standpoint, and that's a really hard golf course that they're going to be playing again. And so they know exactly what to expect. And I don't know. I feel like it's just such a big advantage.
Marshall, I'm going to turn it back over to you because we've got maybe a new segment here as we are in the throes of the off season. So I'm going to set it up for you that way.
Yeah, so I still have to write stuff during the day because it's my job. But it's sort of tough in these months when there's not a whole lot going on. I think there'll be some football recruiting that picks up. Obviously, I've written like a softball story every day this week, pretty much. So there's that stuff going on. But I was just seeking something football related to write this week. It sort of got me thinking about just like how different the Oklahoma State record book is going to look now that the Mike Gundy era is over. It really rewrote the record book in terms of, a program that had Barry Sanders in it, for all of these records to sort of be, obviously Barry's still got his records that are going to stand alone for a long time, but, there's records throughout the book that are of new era guys under Mike Gundy. So, I was thinking, what's this going to look like at the end of the Morris era? Anyway, so I went through and found a lot of pretty standard records that are now owned by Mike Gundy era players. We do like a little trivia, I guess. I don't know if we want to go, maybe like one of you gets to guess first. That way it's not just a crazy thing, and then we'll kick it back. But we'll sort of adjust this on the fly. But so a Gundy era player and Barry Sanders, it's tied. Barry Sanders actually did this 3 times. A Gundy era player and Barry Sanders has the most rushing touchdowns in a game. Justin, we'll start with you. Your guess for who's got the most rushing touchdowns in a game in Oklahoma State history, along with Barry Sanders.
I want to say rushing touchdowns. Okay. It could be, in a game would be 5.
Yep. It is 5.
I know that Barry Sanders had 5.
A lot of good backs.
So Ollie did it against BYU in 2023.
That is correct. That's the answer. That you just nailed it. You just walked right into it.
I was like, is there anything? Yeah. Okay.
You got every portion of it correct also.
Okay.
So yeah,
great.
That was a big game.
I was like, man, it's gotta be, because my mindset immediately went to only Barry can do this unless there's weather involved. And it was like overtime plus weather. where we're pounding the rock, and the Gundy era, especially because we're not just a strictly running team. So, okay.
Yeah. And they needed that game to make that Big 12 title game. That was a big game in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, the answer was Ollie Gordon, 5 touchdowns, BYU
black,
2023.
Orange, black uniform combo, orange brand. All right, let's move on to Nathan.
Justin was worried about this, and he guessed literally everything about that game correctly. Okay, so the most passing yards in a game, an Oklahoma State player in the Gundy era has this. Nathan, that one is yours. This one a little easier in that there's probably 2 options, but
I'm gonna say Mason.
It is Mason.
It was Rudy.
Yep. Do you know the game?
Was it the OU game? Was it the Bedlam game where him versus?
No, but that would have been a sick time to have.
Was it the Pittsburgh? Was it the Pittsburgh game where he had like 380 yards in the first half or something outrageous?
Threw for 540 at the end of the day in that game. It had like a weather delay or lightning delay in it. I actually left at the lightning delay. I was walking home.
The first 3 possessions of the game were like deep balls. Like it was something out. Yeah, they couldn't. Yeah, I remember that one.
And I want to say like the number 2 on the list has to be Brandon Whedon against Baylor.
I didn't go find that, but I'm sure I skimmed over it at one point. But,
probably corn dog, but we don't need to get into this.
Oh my gosh!
I think it honestly might be another because Rudolph killed Pitt those 2 years in a row, and then they went to they played in the Steelers Stadium, and he absolutely slammed the rock all over the field again.
Yep.
No wonder the Steelers drafted him. All right, Justin, are you ready for this? Back over to you. Most catches in a game came from a Gundy era player, also tied a guy from 1949.
Most catches in a game was 17 catches.
No, it's not.
No, but okay.
One more.
Well, Brennan Presley got up there, and
he did.
What game was that? Anyway, I want to guess Brennan Presley.
It is Brennan Presley. It was the Texas Bowl against A&M. They were just. I
thought it was maybe a bowl game. It wasn't 17 receptions. How many did he
16,
get? 16. So 17 would have been the record, and he didn't quite get there. Okay.
Yeah, I think they were trying to get him to 100 because I think he finished with like exactly 100 or 101, and so they were just like force feeding him. It was crazy because he didn't even get. There was another receiver who got the offensive MVP of that game. That was Rashad Owens. Had a big game there as well. But the fact that he caught 16 passes and wasn't the offensive MVP, I thought that was hilarious.
White, black, white. The curse of Cowboys.
There you go, and that portion of it again as well. back over to Nathan. Receiving yards in a game.
Before we move on, I probably should have mentioned the uniform combo that Mason Rudolph did against Pitt.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that one was the one you were referring to was on the road.
It was the home game that he.
It was a home game.
Set the record, yeah.
That was white, orange, white with the badge.
Yep.
Cool.
Nailed that as well. Receiving yards in a game, Nathan. This one, bit of a hint because it's a little more. It's not as recent as.
That's Bowman versus Kansas, right?
Bingo, 300.
Bingo. 300 on the dot yards against Kansas.
Was that 2006?
It was 2006.
Yeah, that dude, man, so good.
How many receptions did he do that in? Do you have that pulled up?
I'm almost certain I do, but I'm going to read 13. It was 13.
13, yeah, it was like 12, 13, something like that. Yeah, so
4 TDs.
I thought it was less. Yeah, I was going to say I thought it was less than that because he had 2 huge ones. I know that.
Yeah. So far we're
doing better than I thought, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you guys were a little bit worried about this, and you're absolutely nailing it. So far, we've mentioned that Rudolph record, which happened in 2016. This Bowman record, which happened in 2006. What does that say about 2026? Something crazy, perhaps.
Okay.
I think this one might be the toughest on the list. Justin, it's to you. Most tackles for loss in a game is a Mike Gundy era player. Who is that player?
Okay. Most tackles for loss. Dang, why do I want to go straight to Colin Oliver? Because of that Bedlam. It's like that one is sticking out. But there's also Vincent Taylor's in there. Did he get a lot of tackles for loss?
I'll give you a hint because I gave Nathan a hint. It's not super old, but not super new as well. It's sort of mid-era Gundy.
Mid-era. Would it be too much to ask for a position? Would that be giving it away?
It's a defensive end. I'll give you that. It's what you'd call in these days an edge rusher.
Nope, I'm not gonna. I don't know.
All right, we'll kick over to Nathan. You got a steal opportunity here in this game that we're not even keeping score.
Was it Agba?
It was Emmanuel Agba, 5.5. against Kansas again in 2014. That game will most likely be remembered for Tyreek running that kickback at the end of it. But yeah, Emmanuel Ogbah had 5.5 tackles for loss in that game. So
yeah,
I can tell you the uniform combo.
Hey, and you know who recruited Ogbah?
So.
Who recruited him?
Yeah, I do not know.
Our defensive end coach now,
Greg G. Rich.
Nice. So Kansas 2014, you said?
Yep, the Tyreek Hill kick return that saved the day.
The carbon fiber, white, gray.
There we go.
That'd be my guess. I'm not super confident in that one.
They did love to wear the gray when Kansas was involved.
Hey, Rain Man, are you looking at these things, or are you just like pulling them?
What's there to look at? Can I look it up real fast?
Well, I thought you had like a list or something. This is outrageous.
No. What did I say? Kansas versus OK State 2014.
Oh, no, on your Twitter, I thought you had like a picture of it all.
Man, sometimes the image search just isn't very good.
It's not good.
It's like, oh, Kansas State versus OSU. White, gray.
Okay.
So it had the Phantom Pete logo.
There we go.
So I'm slipping, y'all.
All right. On this one, who do I kick this to now that Nathan stole? And do I go back to Nathan? Okay.
Yeah, it's back to Nate.
So passing now we're into season records. I'll start with yards in a season. Passing yards in a season.
I think that's Rudy again.
It is Rudy again. Threw for 4,904 yards in 2017, his senior year.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous stuff. He threw for at least 200 yards in all 13 of OSU's games that season. This past year, whenever we were just hoping that Oklahoma State would throw for 200 yards during the whole season. The fact that happened, threw for at least 300 yards in 11 of those 14 games and 400 yards in 5 of them. So just absolutely nuking balls downfield. That was the Mason Rudolph experience. Justin, you could answer with 2 people on this one because it's actually tied. Most passing touchdowns in a season.
Brandon Weeden and Mason Rudolph.
Bingo.
37.
37 is absolutely correct. I didn't.
So 2011 and 2017, I would assume. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't go into as much detail because the fact that Rudolph had both of those, I sort of focused on him a little bit more, and probably because I'm biased. But so we'll move straight on to receiving.
Call it out, but yeah, these are biased questions right now.
Receiving yards and touchdowns in a season. This is also the same person. Nathan, is it? Yeah, it's Nathan, right?
Yeah.
It's actually Justin Blackman. All right, go ahead.
Is it Black?
I'm not gonna. Is that your final answer?
Yes. Yeah, Justin Blackman.
It is Justin Blackman.
Yeah. I was gonna say. I thought James Washington
for a second because I was like, James Washington maybe.
But that Justin Blackman season.
1782.
1782. Yep.
He had 18 touchdowns.
No, he had like 20, I think.
Had 20 exactly. Southwell was so worried about this, and he's like nailing not only who they are, but also the numbers and the uniforms that they were wearing.
These are ones that you see more often. I think that they're clicking for me.
Yeah, that was sort of the point of the thing, though, is that like all of these are Gundy dudes, like all of this. So yeah, and that was in the 2010 season. I think a lot of people nowadays think of Justin's legacy as that 2011 season, when statistically he was better in 2010, honestly. But obviously now that everybody knew about him in 2011. Still couldn't stop him, but so that was interesting. So Justin, we're over to you now. Passing yards and passing touchdowns in a career.
Passing yards and touchdowns in a career for Mason Rudolph.
Yes, it is Mason Rudolph. It's the correct answer, but you're probably going to nail the numbers too for some reason.
No, because
these are big numbers.
13 something.
Yep, 13,618, 13,618 yards. And the touchdown number.
Didn't I just say it was 30?
That's one season though.
Yeah, that's the one season. We're talking career.
What am I doing? Yeah, what am I doing? Oh man,
like 90 something.
I don't.
Yeah, 92. Yeah. 92 passing touchdowns in a career.
I did not know that number. That's crazy.
Yeah. 92. So just a little fun factoid: the top 5 quarterbacks in OSU's history for career passing yards are 4 Gundy coached quarterbacks and Mike Gundy himself. So nice. That's just a sick stat, I think. let's see. Was there anything he threw for? Okay, this was a sort of a fun stat. So Rudolph threw for less than 200 passing yards just 4 times in his career. And one of those was the OU game where he just like limped out there one time, threw a pick 6, and then limped back off the field. And then he threw for at least 400 yards 10 times, meaning he was more than double more likely to throw for at least 400 yards than he was to throw for under 200. Nice. Whenever he rolled out there for a game in his career, which again, last year, it was just like, please just give me a little bit of that.
And he was really good at avoiding interceptions. I know we talk about that. Like his touchdown to interception ratio is pretty good.
Yeah. It probably helps whenever you're like absolute nukes and it's just like, there's 2 guys that could probably catch this, but yeah. So this one comes with a bit of an asterisk. I don't even know who we're on at this point. Justin, we on you? No, we're on Nathan. We're on Nathan. Yeah. This one, a bit of an asterisk. Receptions in a career. Most receptions in a career. Got a bit of an asterisk to it. That might be throwing more curveball than anything.
Well, it's got to be Presley. It's got to be Presley.
It is
Presley.
He
got it in the bowl game, right? He got the total.
The asterisk is because he had 5 years. So
extra
he
year.
played 5 seasons.
Yeah. I knew it was Presley because that last year he did it. I remember that was a big deal. But yes.
Yeah. He caught 7 balls as a freshman, and like 3 of those were touchdowns in that Miami Bowl game. Remember that? The Cheez-It Bowl when everybody was socially distanced and Emmanuel Agba was like eating the Cheez-Its with his gloved hand. That's what I remember about that game. But so after that freshman season where he caught 7, he'd catch at least 50 in his remaining 4 seasons, including those 101 in 2023 and 90 in 2024. Back whenever, the 24 season, the fact that he had 90 receptions and Oklahoma State really didn't have a quarterback that whole year. Super interesting. Then this is the last one that I have. Justin, is yours. Receiving yards in a career. Who you got?
James Washington.
It is James Washington. Yeah. It is the Presidente. 4,000
balls for days.
472. 19.8 yards a reception he had in college. Also a school record. He had 21 games of at least 100 receiving yards and 3 games north of 200 in his career. So.
The wild, and I don't mean this like in a disparaging way at all, because it's like, of all the wide receivers I think about in the Gundy era, like the physical tools that he had were not even close to the top. I mean, even of guys that didn't stack up numbers, right? But like he was just a grinder, man, and like he just didn't drop balls.
Yeah.
Like he got past you. And he stacked you, and he didn't let you come back over the top. And Rudolph just threw that balloon ball, and it was just kudos to him, man. That's unbelievable.
A fun stat that I left off during the Justin Blackman 2010 season. So he had at least 100 receiving yards and a touchdown in every game that season. That was just the baseline. When he walked off the bus, he was getting 100 receiving yards and a touchdown in 2010.
Do you realize how absurd that is when
that's
everybody
ridiculous.
knows that's where the ball is going, and you still do it?
Did you do that both years?
I didn't check the 2011 season just because it wasn't the most.
I think he did in 2011 also.
There's probably a good shot at that.
And there was just one game kind of thrown in the middle there that he was suspended, and I was like, does that count against him? And I don't think they did. I think it was like the games that he played, 100 yards and a touchdown.
I singled out the Tulsa game in 2010 because he had 6 catches for 174 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Randy Moss kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's like rookie mode NCAA you're playing on.
I need to see Justin Bowick do that at 11th in Harvard this year, or whatever that is, whatever their street is. I need it. I put it in my veins. I've got to do that to Tulsa again.
So that brought me my question of the day, the comment question of the day, which we haven't done in a couple of.
I got one for you, Marshall, because this is one that I know, and it might sound like a bit of a trick question based on how many great special teams players we've had.
Already playing the mind games. All right.
I want to say it's a tie for the most career punt returns for touchdowns.
I'm gonna. Is Parrish Cox one of those guys?
Kickoff. He's kickoffs.
That's why it's a trick question.
Des Bryant. Because that year we had led the nation in kickoff return for touchdowns and punt return for touchdowns with Parrish Cox and Des Bryant.
Yeah, freaking crazy. Like, where did our special teams go?
Can you imagine that? And even at times we would send Des back there when we really needed something, and it was Dez and Parrish Cox. That special teams unit was outrageous.
But then you throw in Justin Gilbert and Josh Stewart and Tyreek Hill. Like there's so many guys that we've had.
Shout out BP as well.
Not surprised, but yeah, those are. So he had 3.
You know what? You know what's kind of crazy about one of the evolutions of like the Gundy era is like how we went from like a swashbuckling, we're going to try to hit a home run on all of our returns, to like Dylan Stoner, give me 5 yards and lay down. Like
not even that, man. It was like just get a fair catch.
Yeah, I know. Like the difference in what we used to do. Yeah, crazy.
Nobody was running down and setting up a wall. None of that.
Yeah.
Let's get back to that. That's crazy. It's fun times.
Should we get the comment question of the day now?
Comment question of the day. There you go.
Comment question of the day. Most underrated player in the Gundy era for you guys. The reason that I said Parrish Cox, because I was thinking Parrish Cox whenever I came up with this question. I feel like nowadays nobody really talks about Parrish Cox. Whenever my childhood was just me playing the NCAA game, and number 16 was just an absolute menace in the return game. So I think that's where I'd lean. And honestly, the way that we sort of struggled with the defensive question, Emmanuel Ogbah, I don't think it's as much. He's stuck in the NFL as long as he has. I don't think that OSU people talk about him maybe as much as we should.
One quick
you guys got anybody?
Story on Peacocks. So it's only because there was an Instagram reel that I had shared with Nehemiah Mundy where you have like a receiver running out and up, and the corner bites on that, and he's just like standing there like, oh man, I fell for it. And it's a dramatic thing on Instagram reels. I fortunately was able to beat Parrish Cox with that move one time at practice, and he still had the recovery speed to be able to catch up to me and swat the ball down as it was landing in my hands. He's a freak, absolute freak.
Yeah, the Peacocks, Des Bryant battles and one-on-ones, that was like if people could have watched that alone, like that was just phenomenal football on a practice day. It's one-on-ones. They both would just point at each other, wouldn't let him go against anybody else. Man, that was good football. For me, go ahead.
Speaking of Des Jr. gets offered.
I did see that.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
I'm very old.
Still 2028, still got a little bit, but that's like the dream for I think Oklahoma State people. We always talk about how much Oklahoma State people love Oklahoma State people. So getting a Des Bryant Jr. is essentially Oklahoma State's Bronny James to a certain extent would be pretty sick.
Hopefully a little better than Bronny, but yeah.
I think most underrated. There's 2 guys that come to mind when I think of underrated, and I don't know if they're really underrated because people are like, oh, they're great, like they're so good, but I don't think they really realized like how important they were at the time. First one that comes to mind for me is Kendall Hunter. That guy, for everything that we did, we had Zach running the option. He could catch out of the backfield. We were the best screen offense in the nation. The guy did everything, and he was not big. I mean, he was just a phenomenal football player. So Kendall Hunter to me is one of the most underrated players. Secondly, he's kind of a cult hero to anybody that's like been in Justin, you played with him too. Josh Cooper, when Brandon Weeden was in trouble,
took my answer. Yeah.
Like it was Josh Cooper. And you could not cover him in one-on-one man coverage inside. You couldn't do it. If he had a 2-way go, no chance. And Brandon knew exactly where he was going to be and trusted him every single time, right? And when you have a guy like Justin, you have Blackman over there, he's going to take 2 every time, and you let Coop run in the middle with one-on-one, sometimes with a safety. Like, good luck. And that's one of the main reasons. Obviously, that team was phenomenal, as everybody knows. But Coop really, really stirred the drink on the inside there. And so for me, it's Kendall Hunter and Josh Cooper are my 2 favorite guys.
Yeah, 2 great answers. So Josh Cooper was my answer, and I want to say a little bit more about him because, like you mentioned, just absurdly reliable. It's funny because in 2011, you're previewing the season, Kyle Porter at Pistols Firing was talking about Josh Cooper has potential to lead this team in receiving because you're going to have double coverage all over Blackman. They know all about him, Biletnikoff, all this stuff. And Josh Cooper is that good. Like he could do that. And he was laughing at that take back in the day, like how ridiculous that was, because it's like Justin Blackmon, man. But going into the season, you can make that argument. So he was absolutely overshadowed by the receivers that were there at that time. So yeah, Blackmon and Dez was out there. So his hands were just as good as his routes, and his routes were better than probably anybody you've seen. Like that includes Blackmon, includes Dez. Like his ability to those pivot routes and the jerk routes and all that kind of stuff. The way he's able to shake, it doesn't make sense.
He got in and out. He got in and out of his breaks without any hesitation, and so like it's just natural. Like it was a God-given ability for him to be able to like get in. It's almost like nuanced, and then all of a sudden you look at him and like he's got 3 yards of separation, and you're like,
yeah,
that just happened.
It was the way he did it made it look so effortless. I think that it didn't make sense 100%. To me because Josh Stewart was also very good at that kind of stuff, but he had very exaggerated movements whenever he would make cuts and things like that. And it made it look like he was, really trying hard to make that cut. Josh Cooper was not that way. It was just like so smooth. It happened.
I think, and I've actually talked to Brandon about this. Like, if you were to of all, because Brandon threw to Dez, right, their freshman years, and then he had Blackmon and all those great wide receivers. And like, I've talked to him before, and he's like, if we had routes on air, or we had one-on-ones, and I had to get this, he's like, I'm taking Josh Cooper. And think about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that sounds silly, and I'm, who knows? But he's like, that's how confident he was that Josh Cooper was going to get open no matter what. So,
if I had to pick another guy that was maybe underrated, he gets lost in the shuffle of all these really good quarterbacks, and that would be J.W. Walsh. I think that guy was just a gamer. He scored, it seemed like, all the time, and I understand that there were Monken influences on that, 2012, was it 2012, 2013, whenever he was playing, it was just like he had kind of the, I don't want to say it's like unfortunate for him, but it was like just quarterback competition. He didn't have the best arm, but he was good. Like he was so good, he had to be out there, and they found a way to get him, the ball in his hands. And I think that what was underrated about all of that is that he came through and there was no drama with it. He was the ultimate team player about it. And, he just did his job. Like, he just lunch bail guy, do your job. It wasn't about the spotlight and all that stuff. And I just think that there's an underrated aspect to that you got to give that guy a shout out for sure.
Yeah. I think like the JW Walsh story is so weird because it's like, him and Clint Shelfer like always going to be like attached at the hip in OSU lore, just because like I think they're both underrated probably because of each other, because they didn't, like, each of them didn't allow the other.
Well said.
And then JW Walsh is, that 2014 season, it's finally the JW Walsh show. Obviously he gets hurt really early in that year. There was a time where he's getting like flipped on his head in that Florida State game. He fumbles the ball. If he doesn't fumble that ball, he probably breaks his neck. But also Oklahoma State maybe wins that game. And
we definitely beat Jameis Winston if he doesn't fumble that.
I was in the marching band for that. I was on the field in Cowboy Stadium. It was pretty electric. But yeah, so that you think of the big what if of the 2014 season, and then obviously Rudolph happens at the very end of that 2014 season, and then 2015, it's just like arguably, whether it's Rudolph or Whedon, the best quarterback in program history just got here. Sorry, JW Walsh, but like this is just sort of how it has to be now. So there were just like so many what ifs throughout his career that I think him and Clint obviously had that thing. Then the 2014 season, if he could have just stayed healthy, and then 2015, it was, by that time it was really the Rudolph show. They used him as that the red zone quarterback, but many what ifs in the JW Walsh era. But then he has that long run on the coaching staff. I think he still made a really big impact at Oklahoma State
for sure. And there's the line of quarterbacks that go through. He's kind of the glue guy that holds them together, where it was like, I don't know that somebody else could have come in and done that. You think of Rangel, Corndog, they kind of had their one-off years and stuff like that, but I don't think to the same level as JW Walsh.
Well, I'm going to be like old man on my lawn for just a second, but get off my lawn, I should say. Like, that doesn't happen in the NIL world. And so, like, I have so much respect for JW for sticking around, losing his job over and over again, but taking what the team needed, becoming that, that red zone guy or whatever we needed, right? Yeah. To your point. And so, I don't know. It's like sad tears that we're probably never going to see anything like that again. But I'm glad that you called it out because he was Cowboy culture.
Well, I think that's all we got for today. We came into it thinking this was going to be a really short pod, 15 minutes, talk about whatever. Here we are coming up on an hour, and hopefully we filled your radio waves and your ears with some glorious Oklahoma State talk. So if you would show your appreciation by dropping a like in YouTube or leaving us a rating or review on wherever you listen to your podcast, we appreciate that. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time. Keep those pistols firing and remember to reload. Go Pokes.